What does it look like to turn an ad account around and scale it to $35,000 a day in revenue? I want to show you exactly what that process was for us in the month of May 2025 and how we're doing so in an account that was already spending to not quote unquote mess things up and build on top of what's existing. So, if you're new to the channel, you don't yet know who I am. My name is Justin Lalonde, and I'm the founder at paidadvertising.com, where on the one hand, we help businesses implement a scalable ad engine, and on the other, we grow e-com and info businesses to multi-seven figures with paid ads. With that said, we've profitably spent and advised on over $15 million in paid ads in the last year alone, and let's get straight into today's video. So, as you can see on screen right now, I've got one of my clients' ad account opened up. And the dates are set to the month of May. So in May, we spent about $185,000 USD. I say USD, why? Because in a second, I'm going to show you some of the back-end stats, which are in Canadian dollars. So there's a bit of a currency difference here to keep in mind. Now, the month prior, to give you an idea, clients spent $223,000. So they came to us at the start of May. They had been working with an agency. Things haven't really gone as expected. Cost per lead, cost per application, cost per everything was just going steadily up over the last few months, and they wanted to turn things around. And so we started in May, and we dropped spend a little bit right here. But you're going to see what happened in the back end in a second. So during this time period, as you can see right here, our cost per lead was $56 for the entire month. Our cost per appointment, $307, and our CAC blended $1,500 for a $5,750 program. So looking into that, we started 3 campaigns right here, which why do we make 3 campaigns, you might ask? Well, my goal is always to keep it simple. And so right here, one campaign is one funnel. So each campaign simply is directing leads to a different funnel. Now, each campaign has their own unique set of ad creatives, all of which have been new and made and uploaded and created in the month of May. So now if we compare the stats of our new campaigns, although they haven't spent as much, now I can show you the last few days in a second where our campaigns are starting to spend more than some of the campaigns that were already on the account. We've seen very promising results in the month. We've seen very promising results in the month of May. I mean, all 3 of our campaigns have a blended average cost per lead lower than the account average. And when you look into CAC, also on our campaigns, look at that. Especially this campaign right here, 30 sales allocated to this campaign, $418 CAC. Now, by far not the biggest spender, okay? But the one that got the most amount of closes during the month was this one. So keep in mind a slight discrepancy between the numbers you're going to see here and the ones you're going to see in a second in the back end stats, which are actually a little more sales in the back end right here. And now, if I show the last 7 days as an example of that right here, so campaigns right here, again, slowly creeping up in ad spend right here, but still getting the most amount of conversions and the best CAC out of all campaigns. Now, last 7 days, blended CAC going down. Again, it was 1.5K last month, $900 now. Our cost per lead was $56 in the month of May. Now, if you look into the last 7 days, we're going steadily down to 53. So we're slowly improving the account, lowering cost per lead, lowering our CAC numbers, and improving the back end. Whenever I take an ad account that is already existing, that already has had results before, I never just shut everything off. That's the surest way in order to tank performance or at least create instability within the account. What we always do is build on top of it. So we launch campaigns on top of what's already existing. And then what happens is there's a budget reallocation, because as you saw right here, we not only did not necessarily increase budget, in fact, we lowered the budget. We removed budget from some of the campaigns that weren't performing as well and moved them towards our new campaigns and slowly started scaling our campaigns while reducing budget from some of the campaigns that were already existing back then. And so when looking into those right here, the campaign structure is the one that I've shared on the channel the most. So as you can see right here, if I open any of those, I have one ad set per DCT or creative batch. And if I open one of those right here, so as an example, this one right here, I have 3 variation of a same ad, which is what we always do. So one ad set batch right here, 3 variations of a same ad. Meta automatically will usually default to spending most of its money on the best combination right here. So the best ad out of this ad set. And those 3, same exact creative, just one different change in those creative. So usually going to be the hook as the variable. And not only that, if I open this up now, when we look into our primary text, always 2 pieces of copy and 2 headlines all align with the messaging inside of the ad creative itself. And so what that ended up looking like at the end of May is this right here. So looking into the month of May, we booked 675 calls, which is actually a lot more than the prior month at 607, which definitely proves that, we've spent, as you can remember from earlier in this video, the month of May was $185,000 in ad spend, whereas the month of April was $223,000 in ad spend. So less ad spend, more calls booked. Now, therefore, more live calls, right, than the month of April. Therefore, more offers. And when you look into this, 194 sales made in that month. Now, technically, this was the most amount of sales made if you'd go all the way back to January. But when you look into our cash collected right here, or at least cash collected to revenue ratio, we collected slightly less during that month than other months prior. But revenue-wise, this was the second highest revenue month of the entire year. Now, this month, 4 days into the month of June, we're already at 106 calls booked. And so if we factor this in right here, 106 calls booked within about 4 days, it's a 26.5 calls booked average on a daily basis times 30 days. If nothing changes, we're on track to book 795 calls this month, which if we do that, it's going to be our second highest month of the year in terms of calls booked. So we're going all the way back to our peak month. The best month the business has ever done was the month of January in this business. Now, this was a combination of many different things. Organic was starting to thrive for the business. Ads were doing well. And it was January, which for a biz op offer usually performs really well at the start of a new year, because new year, new me, I want to invest in myself. I want to learn a new skill. I want to hit the ground running in this new year and crush it and hit my investing goal, because this is, again, an investing program of some sort. And so that said, it was a great month. So I honestly think that this month now, considering that our closing rate has gotten really, really good. I mean, we've increased that by 2% now. As the year has progressed, our commitment on calls has also definitely increased. I honestly think that this month could be a record month for the business. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we beat our 1.4 million in revenue that the business did in January. I'm not going to say we, because we weren't yet working with these guys, but I like to see this, right? If you see this on screen, like the amount of scheduled calls, you can see the business was starting to struggle at the start of the year. They were working with an agency which wasn't doing that many ads. And this is something that our client brought up. They're like, yo, our agency, like in the first 2 or so months, they had not tested any like new creatives. It was mainly iterations and media buying. I had to force them to start sending us scripts. Now, the scripts, like there's also a language barrier. So the scripts that the agency was sending were in English, whereas this is a French-Canadian business, which therefore there was also, again, like every script had to get translated internally by the client, which added some lag in the process. And so everything was going steadily down, but you can see a bump as of the month of May, which is where we came on board, as you see right here. And again, when you take a look at that, May was just a much healthier month right here. Now, my initial audit of the ad account back then showed me that there was just too much spend being put towards 3 of the campaigns that our client had actually started themselves many, many months ago before hiring the past agency. So as you can see right here, this tag right here, MB, were tags of the prior agency. So there's a few campaigns that you're not seeing right here that also have the MB tag from this other agency. So their own campaigns were, first and foremost, not spending that much besides one of these campaigns. And if we looked into the singular campaign, they didn't necessarily have the best cost. I mean, I'm going to show you May, because it's another thing too. They weren't even tracking anything but cost per lead. Like, never had set up cost per application, cost per appointment, cost per purchase, or cost per close. In this case, none of the tracking was done before we came on board. So since we implemented that, now we started optimizing for an application. So usually the process is sending to an opt-in page, opt-in to VSL, VSL to application, application to book a call, and then of course on a call to a close. So we found that right now optimizing for application, which already is one step further into the funnel, has brought in much better results because we're feeding better data back. The meta, right? If somebody submits an entire application, already a lot more intentful than if they just opted in as a lead would have done right here. And so as you can see right here, again, CAC was really, really high last month on this campaign. In fact, we got more sales, as I showed earlier, from our new campaign with new creatives than we had done with the campaign that was live. So we're still slowly moving ad spend off of these campaigns and more onto ours. And if I put the combined ad spend rate here of any of these campaigns selected right now, those were, again, campaigns which each of those, believe it or not, only has one creative inside of this campaign. So one creative here, one creative there, one creative there, one creative there. So 4 creatives that have been live for a very long time by the client and are receiving most of the ad spend. And so when I saw this and came into the account, I was like, well, look, it's kind of clear. Like the other agency is 1, barely doing any creative testing. 2, it's a lot of iterations, no new scripts. 3, there's a language barrier. 4, they're spending still after like 6 months or whatever, having some of the ads running on the account on those ads over their own new creatives. And the creep up in cost per lead and cost per appointment mainly was on these campaigns right here. CPM has gone up, frequency has gone through the roof, and so CPL was slowly increasing on those campaigns. So all we did was, again, come in, added fresh new stream of creatives, which honestly they lacked. Second, understand the language, which already helps remove the barrier here. Third, we started to allocate more spend towards our new creatives and campaigns rather than the ones that were previously on the account. So offsetting, again, this like crazy frequency that we were getting. Now, afterwards, what we started doing is optimizing further down the funnel, as I mentioned earlier. So application rather than lead, and also add all of our other events, so appointments and sales made on the account to at least have this data back to visually see it right here. Like, see, okay, great. Like I might be optimizing for an application, right? This is like what Meta is trying to get me more of, but it's good to see further downstream data to understand like, okay, this might have like a great cost per application as an example, but it might not have the best CAC. Like this is the perfect example, this one right here. The top funnel has the best cost per application, but not necessarily the best CAC. Whereas this one right here that I just selected did not necessarily have the best cost per lead, did not necessarily have the best cost per application, did not have the lowest cost per appointment schedule of the account, but definitely had the lowest CAC, which is what we want at the end of the day. And so I'm definitely looking forward to see how the month of June is going to perform for this business. Now, if you've made it all the way through this video and you are an info product coaching or e-commerce business wanting to work with a paid ads partner on Meta, Google, or TikTok, check out the first link in the description down below to book in a call with myself and the team at paidadvertising.com today. Now, if you perhaps want to see inside of my ad systems, implement those yourself inside of your business, get coaching, consulting, one-on-one with me, have me review your ads, funnels, offers, and name it, then also check out the description down below to join our ad engine one-on-one inner circle. So I'm going to wish you an amazing day. Do check out other videos on the channel for some more useful e-com and info marketing tips, and I'll see you at the next one. Peace.